Amara clutched her travel ticket, her hands trembling as she stood alone at the crowded airport gate. This ticket wasn't just her passage home. After a transformative leadership conference, it was a symbol of independence, a chance to prove she could handle traveling on her own. But in an instant, the shred of confidence she carried was torn apart literally. The flight attendant's eyes darted over her, pausing a moment alone on her braids, her expression unreadable but her tone sharp and cold. "This ticket doesn't look valid," she said flatly, suspicion lacing every word. Amara's heart sank, but she fought to keep her voice steady. "It's valid. My father's office booked it for me." Instead of checking again, the attendant made a snap decision only that left Amara stunned. The ticket was ripped in half before her eyes, the jagged edges a painful reminder of how quickly prejudice could unfold. Whispers rippled through the nearby crowd as humiliation burned through her. Amara could feel their stares, but none of them intervened. She wanted to call out the injustice, to demand an explanation, but years of lessons from her father echoed in her mind. Strength doesn't come from anger but from standing tall. She moved away, gripping the torn paper, her composure crumbling but her resolve growing. Her father, Jonathan Coates, the quiet power behind the airline, was just a phone call away. Amara hesitated, torn between proving she could handle this alone and knowing that this time she needed his help. When she finally pressed call, she had no idea how this act of defiance would transform not just her life but the entire company. Amara gripped the two torn halves of her ticket, her pulse racing as the noise of the airport faded into the background. The bustling chaos of travelers and rolling luggage melded into silence, replaced only by the sting of humiliation. She stared at the flight attendant, Gloria, who had dismissed her as though she were nothing. "That was my ticket," Amara said, her voice trembling but firm. "Why would you do that?" Gloria's expression remained cold, indifferent. "Move along," she replied curtly. "You're holding up the line." He crawled up Amara's neck as whispers from the crowd reached her ears. She wanted to demand justice, to call out the blatant unfairness of it all, but she knew better than to let her emotions spill over in a public scene. Her father had always taught her that strength lay in composure, even when the world tried to undermine her. Turning away, she gripped the torn ticket tightly in her hand, her mind racing. Was this because of how she looked? Her name, the sting of Gloria's words, "passengers like you," echoed in her mind. Subtle judgments were nothing new to Amara, but this moment felt different. It was overt, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. Her fingers hovered over her phone. Calling her father felt like admitting defeat. He had raised her to stand tall, to face challenges head-on, but this wasn't something she could fix alone. Finally, swallowing her pride, she dialed his number. "Amara." Jonathan Coates' voice was calm but immediately filled with concern. "Aren't you boarding your flight?" "There's a problem," she began, steadying her tone. "The attendant, she tore my ticket. She said it wasn't valid." Silence lingered on the line before her father's measured response broke through. "Stay right where you are," he instructed, his voice firm but reassuring. "I'll take care of this." Hanging up, Amara exhaled shakily and leaned against a nearby wall. She felt the stares of other passengers, but refused to let them see her falter. This wasn't the first time she'd faced adversity, but the rawness of being publicly dismissed left her shaken. Her father's words rang in her mind. "Your worth isn't tied to how others treat you. It's in how you choose to respond." Minutes later, she spotted her father striding through the terminal, dressed sharply. His presence commanded respect, but his expression was one of concern and purpose. As soon as he reached her, he pulled her into a hug. "I'm sorry this happened to you," he said quietly, his voice tinged with a rare edge of anger. "Let's handle this together." Together, they approached the counter where Gloria stood. Her expression flickered briefly with uncertainty before she regained her defiant stance. "Mr. Coates," Jonathan said firmly, "this is my daughter, and I'd like an explanation for why her ticket was destroyed." Gloria hesitated, her confidence faltering as she glanced between Amara and Jonathan. "It seemed suspicious," she stammered, attempting to justify her actions. "I was just following protocol." Jonathan's gaze hardened. "Protocol does not involve humiliating a passenger or destroying their property. What you've done is unacceptable." The tension in the air was palpable. Amara felt her father's protective anger, but also noticed the restraint in his tone. He wasn't there to escalate the situation. He was there to ensure accountability. His ability to remain composed under pressure reminded her why she had always admired him. The airline supervisor, alerted by the commotion, quickly arrived. Jonathan calmly explained the situation, his words measured but unyielding. "This isn't just about my daughter. It's about how your employees treat passengers. I expect this matter to be addressed immediately." Amara stood silently, watching as the supervisor scrambled to issue her a new ticket and offered a flurry of apologies. Gloria's demeanor shifted, her earlier defiance replaced by discomfort. Still, Amara sensed that the apology Gloria eventually offered was more out of obligation than genuine remorse. "Thank you," Amara said softly, meeting Gloria's gaze. "I hope this teaches you to treat everyone with dignity." Walking away with her father, Amara felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. The ordeal had been draining, but it also sparked a new determination within her. Later that evening, as they Saturday together at home, Jonathan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You handled that with grace, but this isn't just about one incident. There's a bigger problem here, and we have the power to address it." Amara nodded, her mind racing with ideas. The leadership conference she had recently attended had inspired her to think about solutions, not just problems. "What if we created a training program," she suggested, "something that goes beyond the basics and really addresses bias and empathy?" Jonathan's eyes lit up with approval. "I like the way you think. Let's start drafting something." Over the next few weeks, Amara poured her energy into the project. She reached out to contacts from the conference, collaborated with her father, and designed a comprehensive plan for diversity training. The initiative wasn't just about preventing discrimination, it was about fostering a culture of respect and understanding. When they presented the proposal to the airline's board, Amara spoke with a confidence she hadn't realized she possessed. She recounted the real-life consequences of bias and outlined how the program could transform the company's culture. By the end of the meeting, the board members voted overwhelmingly in favor of implementing the initiative. As the program rolled out, Amara witnessed firsthand the impact it had on employees. Stories emerged of flight attendants and staff who had never examined their own biases, now approaching their work with renewed empathy. The ripple effect of her efforts was undeniable. Reflecting on that journey, Amara realized how much she had grown from that single moment at the airport. What had started as an act of humiliation became the catalyst for change, not just for her but for an entire company. Through tears, challenges, and triumphs, Amara discovered the power of resilience and the importance of standing up for what's right. Her story wasn't just about overcoming injustice, it was a testament to the transformative power of courage and action. As Amara watched the first group of employees complete the training program she had helped create, a quiet sense of fulfillment settled over her. She reflected on how a single moment of humiliation had grown into something so much larger. It wasn't just about addressing what had happened to her. It was about creating a culture where every passenger and employee felt valued. The experience had transformed her. Amara had entered the journey uncertain, reluctant to lean on her father's influence. Now, she stood taller, realizing that leadership wasn't about avoiding help, but using the tools and support available to drive meaningful change. Her father's words rang true. Strength isn't just about overcoming obstacles. It's about helping others rise above them, too. Through collaboration and persistence, Amara had turned a painful experience into a lasting legacy for her father's airline. As the training expanded company-wide, She knew the work was far from over, but for the first time, she felt hopeful that small sparks could ignite a fire of change in ways she hadn't imagined. Amara smiled, glancing at her father as they left the event. "This is just the beginning," she said, her voice brimming with quiet determination. Thank you for watching until the very end. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell for more inspiring stories. Have a wonderful day.